This video will address the tools that can be used to measure achievement. It also will address the structure of assessment, suggestions for data collection, and ways that data can be reported for analysis. We will begin with measurement tools. If your assessments are knowledge-based and focused on the various forms of knowledge, such as content retention, knowledge of context aligned with the content, knowledge of processes to apply content, and metacognitive awareness of what has been learned, you could use selected choice exams and use techniques to disaggregate reporting per outcome, as you see on the screen. The only way you can use the score of an entire exam is if it addresses only one criterion. There are multiple techniques that can disaggregate the collection of scores aligned with each outcome. Then the collected scores can be organized by criterion as well as the overall outcome. The most important construct of outcomes assessment is to collect achievement data specific to the criteria that are used as indicators of outcome achievement. Care must be taken not to assume the entire examination score will provide sufficient information for assessment, because exams typically assess multiple criteria and outcomes, thus not providing specific data needed for program improvement. If you are scoring criteria as indicators of learning outcomes from demonstrations of achievement such as essays, presentations, projects, and the like, each criterion with an outcome can be uniquely assessed to isolate learning achievements or deficiencies. There are multiple technologies that can automate data collection directly from assignment scoring. Again, it is essential not to take the full assignment score, since nearly all assignments demonstrate multiple learning criteria and often address multiple outcomes. Tools can often be found in learning management systems or assessment technology already available through your institution. Many of our faculty use a survey tool to create scoring devices. These are most often used for internships when the person scoring is not a faculty member. This technology is also used for collecting scores when multiple scorers are needed, such as art displays, theater auditions, interior design studies, and for graduate level proposal and dissertation defenses. Automated extracting of data facilitates efficiency of the assessment process. Let's move on to the structure of an assessment process. The overall structure of an assessment process can look like this. Courses are selected that have assignments that demonstrate program completion competency for defined outcomes. The achievement data is collected from specific assignments. The data is aligned with program outcomes that are used and define levels of achievement. Achievement from multiple assessments can be aggregated into levels of learning, such as exceeding program expectations, meeting program expectations, meeting minimum expectations, but not fully meeting the achievement rigor, and not meeting their minimum expectations. Assessment is the analysis of student learning data to guide learning improvement. Assessment is not attained until the data is collected, reported, and analyzed. Some programs report the aggregated score as a central tendency or an average. This type of reporting can enable longitudinal analysis over time by comparing the mean or average scores. The problem with using an average score as the only means of analysis is that it is difficult to expose challenges experienced by students, as levels of individual achievement is not exposed. As discussed earlier, the primary purpose of assessment is to guide program and learning improvement. A more robust assessment way of reporting and analyzing achievement data is suggested. Another means of reporting data for analysis is collecting the number and/or percentage of students that achieve at each scored level, then longitudinally analyzing that data from the annual reporting to identify trends of achievement or deficiency of specific assessed criteria. Analyzing in this way exposes at what level students are achieving as compared to the defined rigor expected of the program. When data is collected by achievement level, the data can be shown in graphic form using a technology to offer enhanced reporting. In this graph, the program can see achievement in each outcome to identify strengths and weaknesses in student learning. When technology is used for reporting, your program can see aggregated achievement per outcome category as seen on this slide. The technology can easily be separated and viewed by each component assessed criterion as seen on the next slide. When expanded to see achievement at each criteria, it's possible to see which specific criterion is challenging the students. This disaggregation enables the program to understand successful demonstration as well as challenges that are within each outcome category group. Sometimes a table is a preferable way for some to view achievement data. The most important factor in visualizing is presenting student learning data in a way that is most useful for understanding by the stakeholders, as well as to expose what is not visible in a typical grading scheme. Course grades and GPA present averages of multiple learning outcomes. Courses or assignments seldom teach only one learning outcome. Grades are aggregations of multiple criteria from multiple outcome groups. To fully understand what students are learning, and more importantly, what challenges their learning achievement, disaggregating scores by criteria is essential. We have some programs that ask students perceptions of learning before and after an instructional sequence, such as an internship or field experience. These programs compare student response between their perception of competence prior to and following the educational experience. A similar comparison could be made between students' perception of competence to the direct assessment of achievement to expose when students believe they have more competence of their abilities than their direct assessments demonstrate, or when students do not recognize the level of competence. Other ways that have been useful is comparing faculty scores of achievement in coursework as compared to internship scores for fieldwork. When validity of the measure and reliability of scoring is confirmed, these comparisons could expose the level of scoring rigor in coursework as compared to applied expectations beyond the institution. Additional understandings of student learning can be attained through indirect assessments, such as surveys asking students about the extent they have learned. This data can never be used as learning assessment because it is students' self-report of learning. But it is useful to identify students' perception of their learning. When students respond to a question about their perceived learning, the program can gain valuable insight into student experience and perceptions. We've had some programs and units align the outcomes to questions surveyed from students, alumni, internship directors, and other data sources to provide an alternative indicator of learning for outcomes and accessible criteria. Assessment is valuable to expose needs towards students' improvement. Students deserve a program that continually strives for greater student success. Faculty have a responsibility to do all they can for their students to succeed. These are why assessments are necessary and valuable. Thank you for listening to this set of videos on outcomes assessment.